Archero. Compared to some of the other games discussed here, Archero is a rather simple title that doesn't do anything fancy. Users take control of an archer who has to venture through a wide array of different locations, such as dungeons and forests, each of which holds countless enemies. Played from a top-down perspective, players in Archero have to attack and kill enemies using a bow that automatically fires as they control the movement of the unnamed hero. Even with the simplistic premise, Archero never gets stale. That's largely the result of the sheer amount of upgrades or boosts available and the hundreds of areas available to explore. Add to that the procedurally generated levels in addition to the large variation in enemies, and the game always feels fresh. The gameplay revolves around avoiding enemy fire and getting into good positions to fire back and deal out damage. Archero encourages experimentation, as different combinations of special abilities can have unexpected effects, while it also demands quick reflexes to face off against the ever more difficult hordes of enemies. Ultimately, Archero is a perfect action game to pick up and play in short bursts where you don't have to worry about storylines or other distractions.
Hang on to your hat!
9. Skullgirls. Fighting RPG. Skullgirls. Fighting RPG is essentially a mobile port of the fighting game, Skullgirls. However, in an attempt to optimize the experience for mobile devices, this version has a heavier focus on RPG elements and story than its mainline counterpart. That means the large cast of characters can be upgraded with new abilities and their backstories are explored as they search for the powerful Skullheart item, all of which adds a real sense of progression. Praised for its quick combat, tag team battles, and stylish visuals, Skullgirls on Android loses none of what has made the franchise successful. The game contains a variety of modes, from online multiplayer to single-player objectives, and distinctive features like the infinite prevention system to stop players from being completely overwhelmed with never-ending combos. Easily among the best fighting games on Android, it doesn't shy away from keeping some of the more complex mechanics from the series, such as air juggling, and makes them easy to pull off using touch controls. 8. Immortal Rogue. Developed by Kyle Barrett, Immortal Rogue is a free-to-play roguelike game that originally launched in 2019. The game puts players into the shoes of a vampire who is able to regenerate over time by taking an extended hibernation to regain their strength. This immortal bloodsucker wakes up once a century to feed and must journey through a variety of different historical eras before encountering Dracula and his underlings. With a wide array of perks to unlock as well as a diverse range of enemies from each area, Immortal Rogue carries plenty of replay value, especially considering that each decision the player makes can affect how events unfold in future timelines. It can even lead to drastically different gameplay styles in each playthrough depending on how you choose to upgrade your stats. Everything is controlled through simple taps and swipes, with longer presses causing heavy attacks and directional swipes changing the direction of the character. The end result is that Immortal Rogue is an incredibly accessible game, one which can be played entirely with a single hand in portrait mode. As such, even those who might not be big gamers should at least give it a try. Seven. Call of Duty. Mobile. Call of Duty no longer just dominates the first-person shooter market on PC and consoles, as the series has now made its way to mobile devices. Call of Duty Mobile combines elements from many recent Call of Duty games to create a popular and hugely successful shooter on Android. In fact, since its launch, the mobile game has generated more than $1.5 billion from microtransactions and other sales. As you would expect, Call of Duty Mobile follows the standard gameplay model of other entries in the franchise. Using maps and weapons drawn from across the series as a whole, players compete to eliminate the other team in deathmatches and objective-based modes. There's also a Battle Royale mode, as well as a single-player aspect for those who might not always have access to an internet connection. This slimmed-down version of the popular franchise has won praise for the way it has transferred the action of the Call of Duty series to mobile devices and still provides an experience that feels very much like it does on other platforms thanks to its slick controls and fast-paced gameplay. Brawlhalla. Brawlhalla is a free-to-play game from Blue Mammoth Games and Ubisoft that pits players against each other in 2D arenas filled with ledges, hazards, and bottomless pits similar to Nintendo's Super Smash Bros. Series. Like other platform fighters, the ultimate aim is to knock opponents out of the arena and into the deadly blast zone. The more damage a character suffers, the further they are likely to fly when hit or thrown by another player. Already well established as one of the best fighting games on consoles, Brawlhalla made the leap to mobile devices in 2020 to great success. Players can pick from a variety of different legends to act as their avatar. These range from original characters developed for the game to licensed figures from other franchises such as Rayman. Although Brawlhalla was originally designed to be played with a controller, it doesn't suffer too much when being transferred to touchscreens. Pulling off impressive combos and escaping from a devastating attack is still achievable using the touch controls, which can be customized, but a Bluetooth-connected controller will definitely make it a more enjoyable experience than it already is. Soul Knight. Described by developer Chili Room as a pixel roguelike RPG, Soul Knight blends many different genres together to create a compelling action title that has the potential to keep players entertained for countless hours. Users take on the role of a hero that ventures forth to retrieve a stolen magical stone responsible for keeping balance in a strange fictional world. Essentially, it is a dungeon-crawling shoot-'em-up where the aim is to defeat enemies and clear as many levels as possible while searching for the legendary artifact. Where Soul Knight stands out is in its replay value and the sheer amount of content. Each run is procedurally generated, so you'll never have the exact same experience twice. There are dozens of different environments, each with its own set of enemies to battle and more than 20 heroes to unlock, from mages to archers and everything in between. Add in the 400+ weapons as well as hundreds of additional items, and Soul Knight will keep players coming day after day. The Android port includes an auto-aim system to make playing on touchscreens easier and supports online multiplayer. Even more impressive is the inclusion of a slower and more methodical tower defense mode to add even more content.
Searching for the things you believe. Are you afraid?
Why am I the only one? I'm sorry. There's nothing I can change. I feel nothing. Help me.
4. Pascal's Wager. From Software changed the landscape of action RPGs with its Dark Souls franchise. Focusing on incredibly difficult combat, tough-as-nails boss fights, and exploration, the series has inspired numerous clones and introduced new mechanics to the genre. As such, it shouldn't come as a surprise that various mobile developers have tried to replicate the game on Android in recent years. The most accomplished of these efforts is Pascal's Wager. This game from Tipsworks will certainly feel familiar to any fans of the Dark Souls series. There's a dark medieval setting, specific save points that heal you but reset enemy spawns, and the fact that every single monster or enemy is capable of killing the player swiftly. However, Pascal's Wager does do some things to differentiate itself, including featuring a deeper focus on a more explicit narrative, NPCs that you can interact with, as well as lots more dialogue and item descriptions. Challenging gameplay and impressive visuals make this action RPG a must-play for any fan of games such as Elden Ring. The only real downside is the control system, which utilizes a virtual joystick and swipes, as it can take some getting used to. However, those who want to use a Bluetooth controller will probably find it much more satisfying. Dead Cells. Dead Cells is a roguelike Metroidvania game first released in 2018 that is available on almost every major platform, including Nintendo Switch, PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. Its success and popularity led developer Motion Twin to team up with Evil Empire to port the game to Android and iOS in the following years. Players take control of a mysterious figure known only as the Prisoner, who is capable of taking control of dead human bodies and using them on his quest to kill the king. The 2D side-scrolling gameplay is reminiscent of classic platformers while the game's combat resembles Dark Souls, as it requires careful timing and precision to take out enemies. A wide variety of weapons and items are available to the player, ranging from swords, bows, and shields, as well as traps that can be placed to automatically damage enemies. Each run features a procedurally generated island filled with mutant monsters that must be defeated to make progress and locate the king. Cells collected from dead enemies can be spent to upgrade the protagonist, while mutations are also available in runs to provide added bonuses and keep the action feeling fresh. All of this makes it for a gorgeous-looking action game that is jam-packed with content and a rewarding gameplay loop. Two. Ronin, The Last Samurai. With more than 10 million downloads to its name on Android, Ronin, The Last Samurai, has already established itself as one of the best action games available through the Google Play Store. Released by DreamOcean, Ronin, The Last Samurai, is a roguelike game where players take control of a samurai facing off against waves of enemies. The more enemies that are defeated and waves completed, the better the loot rewards will be, which provides valuable resources that can upgrade weapons and equipment to make your samurai an even more formidable fighter. Fortunately, combat in Ronin, The Last Samurai, works surprisingly well, with 2 buttons on the screen used to control slashing and parrying. The main skill needed is the ability to master the precise timing required to land blows and defend against incoming attacks. There's also a wide range of equipment that can be unlocked to increase various stats and customize the experience. With clear inspiration from traditional Japanese art, the stunning visuals have a handcrafted look to them that gives Ronin, The Last Samurai, not only a distinctive appearance alongside a compelling gameplay hook. 1. Among Us. Despite being available since 2018 on mobile devices and PC, Among Us became a surprise hit in 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic. After an array of Twitch streamers showcased the game, it quickly grew in popularity. Before long, Among Us had become something of a pop culture phenomenon, inspiring memes, merchandise, and various copycat games. Ports were eventually made for Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, and even virtual reality headsets, although much of the success came through its original platforms of Android, iOS, and PC. Gameplay in Among Us centers around a group of between 4 and 15 players trying to complete tasks on a large open map. These can range from carrying out basic maintenance such as emptying garbage, rewiring electrical systems, or downloading information from a datapad. At the same time, a smaller team of randomly chosen imposters attempts to sabotage their efforts and murder the innocent workers.